It's time for the Maximum PC No BS podcast, episode 229 for the week of July 23rd, 2014. On today's show, we have some very special guests from Nvidia. We'll hopefully be able to pick their brains on some recent damning allegations from AMD and much more. Of course, we also have your reader questions as well. So all of that is coming up right now.
Who did the music?
That's what I was going to ask.
I don't know, Gordon. Who did the music?
I think our original podcast producer did it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not like a unique band. It's like a mix somehow.
It's probably. I'm sure it's something he generated off.
We didn't just buy a sample off the internet
Yeah,
or something.
so it's not like legal music.
Anyways, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Jimmy Thang. Joining me as usual, our associate editor, Tom McNamara.
What's up?
Editor-in-chief, Gordon Maung.
Hello.
And as I mentioned at the top of the show, we have some very special guests from Nvidia. Nvidia Director of Technical Marketing, Tom Petersen.
How you doing?
And hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, but Senior Director of Engineering, Lebaradian.
Yeah, you can just call me Rev. There's not many other Revs to confuse me with.
Okay, just call him Rev. And I believe, Rev, you are one of the founders or one of the guys spearheading Nvidia GameWorks.
Yes.
Which is we'll get into in a little bit.
So it brought us all together.
But I'll just leave it up to you guys to introduce yourselves. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your involvement with the company?
Rev, why don't you start?
As I was saying earlier, started at Nvidia about 12 years ago, and I've worked in various groups throughout the time I've been here. Initially, I worked in the software group, working on shading languages, CG, before there were any other ones, and moved on to working on GeForce Experience, and then PhysX, and now GameWorks.
Cool. And Tom?
And I'm Tom Petersen. I've been with NVIDIA for right around a decade as well. And, I do GeForce all the time. So I'm inventing new technology. I actually have a new title. I'm not the Director of Technical Marketing anymore. I am now a Distinguished Engineer.
You need to need to update your LinkedIn.
Yeah, can you believe it? Distinguished part. Yeah.
In your title.
I mean, he was always the beautiful face of GeForce.
I got to talk to management about that.
Yeah, so I spend all my time kind of inventing shit, kind of trying to think of stuff that's good for GeForce and then trying to talk to people about it around the world. And, I spend a lot of time with our gamer buddies.
Cool. And I guess we'll just jump into it. Fairly recently, we had AMD's Richard Huddy on the podcast. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, there were some pretty damning allegations thrown at NVIDIA.
Damning if they're true.
Allegations.
Yeah, allegations. That's thank you, Tom. Up top, blow it up.
Yeah, allegations in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So basically, what AMD is saying is that GameWorks, this is from
paraphrasing.
Yes, this basically, yeah. So they're saying that GameWorks precludes the developer from accepting AMD suggestions that would improve performance directly in the game code. This is from AMD's Robert Halleck, and they're saying that this is preventing them from accessing the source code.
Accessing the source code, you mean GameWorks source code?
I believe the source code of the games.
Well, if the game developer is talking, or if they're talking about a game developer, obviously the game developer has access to their source.
Right.
So they must be somehow referring to they're not getting access.
AMD is unable to access the source code, I think is what they're claiming.
The game developer source code?
Yes.
I see.
So just to make it clear, I think there's been lots of allegations thrown around and a lot of confusion around this and the whole source code thing. One of the things that's been said is that we don't provide source code to game developers for our GameWorks libraries. That's just false. We have source code licensing, and with close partners, we've always shared source code, and they can do whatever they want with it, optimized for any platform they like. As far as AMD having access to our source code, obviously they don't, and neither do we have access to theirs. So I think there's nothing weird about that.
What they're saying is, I could be wrong, but what they're saying is that when, say a title like Watch Dogs or something like that, a game that is aligned with NVIDIA, incorporates GameWorks, that there's something either in the code that is preventing them from optimizing the game correctly, They're not able to get access to the source code, perhaps via
So
contracts.
I would
that you guys
love to
have?
see any proof of that. We've never purposely done anything to harm a game for any other platform. What we do is we go in there, we work with game developers, and make sure that our customers get an optimal experience on our hardware. But game developers are free to work with anybody else to optimize their games for any other platform. There's no limitations that we impose.
And that's clearly one of the allegations that Huddy made, is that, look, so you have GameWorks. I guess we should probably try to back up to a little bit. GameWorks is middleware, right? And
with physics. And
physics. It's a library of effects that a developer can use, add to a game easily, right? So they access your library code to add it to a game. And what AMD is essentially saying, if I understand this right, is they are so if you have a developer who signs on to use say
physics, for example,
physics or GameWorks, part of it in a game, then there's a contract somewhere that prevents that company from actually optimizing for AMD. Wasn't that am I crazy there?
I think
or
that was one of the
that's
allegations,
accurate.
and that's just false.
That's
We
a
have
silly claim
never-
too. I mean, it wouldn't be a reasonable action for a game developer to do, right?
Right.
There's nothing
They
about
wouldn't accept that.
Yeah, there's nothing about the contract that Nvidia does that prevents a developer from optimizing for anybody. I mean, nobody would agree to that kind of stuff. And what's best about Nvidia, and especially today, you're going to hear us talking about what we do and focusing on what we do, because we know about that. What AMD does, that's not for us to comment on. I can't even tell you what AMD's strategy is. It's impossible for me to know, and it's impossible for me to tell based on what they do. But we can talk about what Nvidia does, and we don't impede, and it would be dumb for us to be a shitty partner and kind of impede access to technology or access to the market for any game developer.
No sane game developer would accept those kind of terms.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And we wouldn't force them to do that.
It's not in our interest.
That's not what we do.
Yeah, and it's not good for gaming.
And of course, one of the things that was interesting that came up is they said, hey, it's written in the contracts. We can't say it. We don't have the contracts, but we know it's somewhere in this contracts. We want Nvidia to, bring these contracts along, show it to the world.
That is such a silly thing to say. I mean, when two companies get into a private contract with each other, if one of the parties were to go make it public, you're essentially undermining the trust with your partner. No game developer would appreciate us doing that, and I would imagine it's the same for AMD. That's why nothing has been shown so far. Furthermore, even if a contract were to be put out there, how do you know that's actually the real one or
The troubling one.
the offending one with
Right.
that particular type of clause or not? Right? It's not verifiable and whatnot. But the truth is, if you go look at the performance numbers of games that are out there that we've worked on, try to find a smoking gun saying that we've actually really harmed any game on other platforms, and you won't find it.
Right. Well, although I
It just
think
doesn't exist.
the original kind of bomb was thrown, I think, when Forbes did a test and they found out R290X, which is their AMD's highest single GPU card, performed about on par with a 770 in Watch Dogs. Right.
Right.
So
So it's like a $500 card.
But Watch Dogs
versus
is a
like
good example because as far as GameWorks technologies that are in there, the only one that might be potentially have a differential in performance is HBAO Plus. And if you look at it, it doesn't really perform that differently on us versus them. It just overall, we perform better.
right.
So when developers are getting into the GameWorks program, how often would you say they are actually licensing the source code for that?
That's a good question. Reb, do you know like a rough count?
Yeah.
or-
Well, so it depends on the level of engagement. So we have many different libraries and products within the GameWorks umbrella. One of the big ones is PhysX, for example, and that we actually provide for free to anybody who wants to develop a PC game. They can use binary versions for free. If you're a top-end developer and you really want to customize it and integrate it in some lower-level fashion or something, then you come to us asking for source code. For partners that we work with closely, that are part of the Way It's Meant to Be Played program, often we give it to them for free. It's just part of our partnership. But there are many developers who elect to to actually purchase licenses instead of doing some other kind of partnership.
Okay. The reason I ask is because Richard Huddy was saying that they were only being given these black box DLLs and that they weren't
That's
actually...
just false. It's a pure lie.
Okay.
There's many developers who have who you can go talk to who have our source code, and they're welcome to do whatever they want with it.
Well, they're not welcome to post it. They have to maintain
just like any other middleware.
Right? Yeah, of course.
And they're not allowed to give it to our competitors, of course, because our competitor is not a licensee. But game developers all have access to whatever they want.
So which one should we talk to about that? Which one should we ask?
After this, maybe we can go identify a few you can go talk to. But you can
about source access, right?
Sure.
Go look up anyone that has GameWorks. Any of the big games that have GameWorks in their.
Do we actually list source licensees? We don't, do we?
No, I mean that's part of our business. It's weird talking about that kind of stuff in public, and some game developers don't necessarily want to be public about what technologies they're putting into their games, right?
Sure. It's understandable.
But I mean, I'm surprised that that's the kind of question you can ask a developer directly. Do you have a source license?
Right.
Okay.
How about I ask you? Have you ever heard of a game developer complaining that they wanted source access from us and we didn't give it to them?
We haven't asked them that question, and nobody's like volunteered that.
So I mean, where is all this stuff coming from?
Well, I can imagine why a game developer doesn't want to get in the middle of this, right?
Yeah.
So it's and that's why we would never put a game developer in the middle of this. But the truth is that I feel like Nvidia is really good talking about our stuff. We're going to talk about the investment that we're making. We're taking. I mean, our strategy is pretty simple, right? We're going to develop great. We're going to invest. We're going to develop great technology. Rev's got over 300 guys are working on this.
Well, working for me, it's like 60 some odd people, but overall, we've got about 300 or so people dedicated to GameWorks and gaming.
So they're working on developing like PhysX and CUDA.
You can go look at SIGGRAPH papers. You can look at
these guys are rocket scientists, right? They're the brightest. It's crazy.
We have people from academia, from game development, all sorts of people working specifically on enhancing gaming for the future. The reason we do this is if you go talk to a game developer, you'll understand that their primary market is the people that are out there with hardware they already have. Whenever we come out with the latest and greatest thing, there's more opportunities for advancing gaming technology, but it's a small percentage of the market. So the very high end will be less than 1%. They really don't have any incentives to spend millions of dollars on R&D to take advantage of the latest and greatest stuff when it first comes out. We want to make sure that our customers get the best, and we want advanced technology, so we do that investment for them. We have hundreds of people we're employing, spending millions of dollars every year, advancing the state of the art, because eventually that technology will trickle down to the mainstream. 3-4 years after.
As long as they're using Nvidia cards, though, right?
No, that's not true.
Not true.
The technology is developed to run on high-end cards that are introduced. And the truth is, it's a strategic imperative for us and also for AMD to continue to advance the best PC graphics, because that drives demands for our GPUs.
A lot of our technology runs on the competition anyway, and furturemore,
like for example,
I mean, we're publishing papers on this stuff too.
Sure.
Anybody is free to go develop the same things that we trailblazed on. They can go make their own implementation of it in their own engines, completely separate from us.
So what technologies are we talking about here?
Name it. Things like PhysX, of course. Optics is another great example. All the AA techniques. There's just countless. The flame. Have you guys seen our flame demo, our fire demo? Smoke, destruction.
Some stuff you don't even realize came from
It's
NVIDIA.
just
amazing.
FXAA,
which is in pretty much
See,
every single game.
TXAA.
I was under the
NVIDIA.
impression that PhysX was proprietary.
Proprietary in the sense that GPU accelerated physics runs on NVIDIA GPUs, but the core technology is bigger than that, right? You can run, kind of on consoles. You can run on multiple different platforms, and
it's a core part of Unreal Engine. It's part of Unity, and anytime you do collisions or scene queries, basic stuff that's in every single game, that's being done with PhysX.
Right, but if it's running on AMD hardware, that's a manufacturer.
So a lot of this stuff is just being run on CPU. And we actually do a huge investment of things that don't directly benefit
GPUs.
Nvidia GPUs
Exactly.
specifically, but we still do it because that's what game developers need, and we're very sensitive to what their requirements are.
I think we should crank it up a level just to make sure we're all clear. We're making a large investment in developing core technology for gaming, and the reason we're doing it is to push the quality of PC gaming in general along. And it is true that we're the leader in PC gaming, and if we don't do it,
it just wouldn't be done.
It would not be done. Right? We're the only guys that are going to invest the millions of dollars that it takes to invent brand new game technology. And,
well, it sounds like you're also characterizing Mantle in a way. Isn't that what AMD is doing with Mantle?
You know, I think.
So?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rev.
How is that the same thing?
Well, it's my impression that AMD was working on the development of Mantle in concert with DICE. I think maybe DICE is doing most of the heavy lifting. I don't really know.
Let's just really quickly on Mantle. I think AMD is free to develop and innovate in any area they think it's important. And we don't know much about Mantle. We're not part of Mantle. And clearly, if they see value there, they should go for it. And if they can convince game developers to go for it, go for it. It's not an Nvidia thing. I mean, but the key thing is to develop great technologies that deliver benefits to gamers. Now, in the case of Mantle, it's not so clear to me that there's a lot of obvious benefit there.
I mean, you've seen the numbers out there.
Well, their argument
has it been something that's so striking that?
Well, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but from what I understand, they want to do that because of how messy the DirectX API has gotten. They just want to skip that altogether and get closer to the metal.
It's interesting, all this talk about low-level APIs and whatnot, and I think if you take a step back and look at it historically, I mean, we all started with low-level APIs or no APIs to begin with, and somehow we've ended up with these higher-level APIs for some reason. And by going to low-level APIs, we're going to lose some of the benefits that we have. If you look at DirectX where it's at and OpenGL, it's possible today that when we release new hardware that's radically different from a previous generation, that we can ensure you're going to have a good experience with old games that are no longer being supported by the actual game developers. We can do that because there's enough abstraction in the layers there that to give us that opportunity. We're going to lose some of that. Maybe it's worth it in some cases, but it's not clear that it's always going to be a win. What we haven't seen yet with low-level APIs is what happens when there's 2-3 generations of hardware and each one is different from the previous ones. Do you constrain the development of new technology so that it always looks like the low-level API from the past, or do you change your APIs constantly and force game developers to have to essentially do more work to support more generations of hardware? On consoles, which is where this type of stuff has generally happened, very low, close to the metal coding, it makes sense. You have the same platform for 10 years, roughly. So optimizing for that and working around all the bugs and stuff in the hardware, you can do just for that one platform. But doing that across hundreds of SKUs of hardware over many years and maintaining that support, it's just going to make it harder. And I think, I mean, if you look at the history of drivers and stability of PC gaming on drivers, we've gotten to a pretty good place these days with that. It used to be a lot harder to get a gaming PC up and running. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a lot of work, and now it just kind of works. Well, it just kind of, it's not like the hardware all of a sudden became easier to program to. We've just made a huge investment in our driver team. We've got literally thousands of people working on it, QAing it, to make sure this stuff happens. And stripping all of that away for a few percent potential gains on lower ends of the hardware spectrum might not always be worth it.
Well, I think from AMD's perspective, and again, I don't want to put words in their mouth, is that Mantle's optional.
Sure,
so
but it's extra work that the game developer has to do in order to support it. And the fear I have is that if they don't do a good job supporting standards like DirectX, maybe it becomes the only way to get any good performance out of their hardware. So a game developer is actually forced to do more work just to make sure that they can support that segment of their market. We've seen this before, back in the 3DFX days, they had their Glide API, and when they tried to support standards, their other drivers were always substandard. So if you wanted to develop a game that ran on their hardware, you had to use their own API to do it to get any decent performance. If you go look at the numbers, compare our DirectX drivers today to Mantle games, I don't think you're going to notice any big improvement.
In configurations that matter, right? In a configuration,
right?
Less.
Yeah.
Even there's some games where it doesn't really matter at all. So it's possible to pull performance out of DirectX. We've proven that, and so you can argue that maybe it's not a good idea to put extra effort into yet another API that does the same thing essentially. Feature-wise, there's nothing more.
Yeah. Well, I also recall that the first several versions of DirectX weren't all that hot, so maybe it's just a matter of time.
Could be.
Might
Also,
might just be too
DirectX 12
early.
is coming, and a lot of the features of the benefits of having a low-level API, the extra draw calls and stuff you can do, it's going to be in DirectX 12. With OpenGL, there's ASDO. I forgot exactly what it stands for, but
OpenGL.
no, the ASDO is the effort that they're doing to essentially reduce driver overhead for large numbers of draw calls and
I
whatnot.
can look it up.
Yeah,
But
it's like.
but I mean, the whole point of
asymptotically-
Mantle, at least I've always taken it, is really to get Microsoft to, move a little faster on DirectX. Because I mean, for a long time, DirectX was
maybe
kind of.
if that's true, then why do we need it now? Because they announced DirectX 12.
Right. Yeah. So,
Almost
but then they were
zero
working on it.
driver overhead.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
they-
the DirectX one, right?
No, that's the OpenGL one.
but I mean,
OpenGL.
sort of to me, the interesting thing about GameWorks and physics and Mantle and all this stuff, it's the typical, tech company maneuvering of, first this technology isn't invented here, so we're not going to use it. So everybody's like, no, well, we're gonna play our game because we've got Mantle, and we're gonna play our game. We've got physics, or we've got game. Ultimately, isn't this sort of bad for everybody?
Well, so I think there's a fundamental difference here. With Mantle, it's not really doing anything that you couldn't do before. Maybe you'll get some more performance in certain segments, but fundamentally, it's not actually adding any new features to a game. It's not pushing
It's all
gaming.
about performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not actually pushing the visual envelope.
There's nothing new. With GameWorks,
Right.
we are fundamentally changing games by creating new technologies that just weren't there before. We have destruction, we've got clothing, we've got fire,
Smoke, turbulence,
water,
yeah.
fluids, all kinds of stuff that are just not being put into games today because it's cutting edge stuff that hadn't been invented yet.
And let me add to that. The investment levels are far different, by the way, just so we're all clear. And I want to kind of, we're not here to talk about Mantle because obviously
Right.
we're not part of Mantle and
Right,
we
right,
don't know the details of what they're doing.
And we're supporting open platforms that do the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Supposedly Mantle is going to be open as well.
What do you mean by
Well,
that, Jimmy?
so-
I mean, in what sense do you think Mantle's going to be open?
I believe it's still in beta right now.
I mean,
but
generally, when you talk about open standards, you have a group of
Like-minded
people-
individuals.
who come together and they create a standard together
Right.
and put it out there, like OpenGL.
Right. We know they're not going to.
So that hasn't happened.
Right.
And it's not open today. And maybe sometime in the future, some version of Mantle might be put out there, so you can call
That's
it
what
open.
they're claiming.
Yeah.
But true openness is not that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think though that they did seem to light a fire under Microsoft's butt because
That's probably true, and
but
that's a good thing.
but before Mantle emerged, I was hearing rumors that Microsoft wasn't even interested in developing DirectX.
Well, actually, I
anymore.
think AMD announced that they weren't. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And
Maybe
then obviously,
AMD planted
I
that-
think
planted that rumor.
Microsoft
Yeah.
kind of commented that wasn't true, right? So,
Yeah.
I think what we can do is comment about what Nvidia's
Sure.
doing, right? And that's very clear.
But I mean, I think the thing that's a little unfortunate is, like, I love physics, right? It was awesome when somebody actually, I know, but when it was actually implemented and the effect was in a game, you're
Bob's
like,
quote.
you're
It
like,
is
damn,
awesome. It
right?
really
It was awesome.
Good job.
But you know what?
That's all my guys. I do.
It is.
Nobody supported it because, at AMD, they're going to be like, well, hey, this is not our stuff.
Yeah.
We can't accelerate our GPUs, so screw that.
Well, let's
but
clarify.
so-
When you say nobody supported it,
Well,
game developers, right?
But AMD's not supporting it, so then the game developers like, do I want to do one effect just
So
for NVIDIA?
that's really weird when you say AMD is not supporting and whatnot. I mean, take for example Borderlands 2.
Right.
which is a great example of physics. And generally, if you look at all the forums and stuff, people loved it, and
They still love it.
Yeah, they still love it, and Gearbox loves it and whatnot. I actually have not only engineers who develop this software, but I have engineers and artists that we send to the game developer to work with them to add these effects in their game.
Sure.
Because they wouldn't do it otherwise. They don't have the funding available to address this segment of the market, and sometimes just don't have the expertise. They have different priorities, but they love to have it in their game. So it's something extra we're giving to our users, to our customers, that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Right.
If AMD would like that, they are perfectly welcome to go invest the millions of dollars that we're investing to go actually develop some technology and put it in games.
Again, I don't want to comment too much about what AMD's doing, but I think you can tell what we're doing.
Right.
We're investing in engineers and building cool stuff that makes games look great. And we did it with G-Sync. We did it with all the physics stuff. We're doing it with more effects. We do it with GPUs. I mean, it's kind of like bullet physics to me. When you think about bullet, it's kind of one of those silly things where we're gonna announce it, and then it'll just sort of happen, and we don't have to invest in it. Well, the truth
they
is
talked
that
about open physics or whatever.
things don't happen like that.
Anything.
Right.
It just doesn't work like that.
But again, this is the same thing. G-Sync is a perfect example. It's like, you know what? G-Sync is pretty damn cool too, right?
It is really
It
cool.
didn't
stuff.
exist
If you
until
ask
we did
me.
it.
But you know what?
Thank you.
Only works with Nvidia GPUs. Only works with Nvidia GPUs.
True.
Cool stuff. Doesn't work with AMD. Intel, and of course AMD's like, hey, we got FreeSync, right? So
Let me.
I think everybody's feeling like, can't we just all get together?
We can.
So
you
Can't you spend your millions of dollars to benefit your enemies? Why can't you do
Why
that?
can't we be frenemies?
Right, yeah.
Frenemies.
I mean, would you ask BMW to give their technology
Right.
to Mercedes?
Yes, I know.
It's really
We all
weird.
want brakes.
I know.
We all want brakes.
Right, that's
Now,
the...
that being said, I would say the majority of work that we do actually does benefit our competitors as well.
Yeah.
Because we're just advancing gaming forward, and a lot of our software does run on competitors as well. A lot of the graphics work that we do with a game developer to just optimize their usage of DirectX in general helps everyone.
Helps everybody.
And we do a lot more of that than anybody else. We've got literally hundreds of engineers that we send on site to game developers to work with them to just make their games better.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I want to mention is our core essence of who we are is about gaming. Right? There's not a lot of distractions. We love gaming. Like last night, I was up very late playing Banished all night. If you haven't played Banished, by the way, you should. It's a great
I hear it's
game.
very relaxing.
It is very relaxing. It's like what you do after a long day of Sam at Nvidia.
I'm not even familiar with that game.
It's great.
It's a city building kind of
Yeah.
simulator.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Survivalish.
fantastic because you have famines, you got nomads that come, it's a whole resource.
Sounds like our
management.
company.
But the point I'm making is
Oh,
I
that
haven't
cut
eaten
that out.
7
this
days.
is our passion. You don't see a lot of turnover in Nvidia, right? Because we're like getting to play in our sandbox that we are passionate about, that we love, and
It goes all the way up to the executive level too. I mean,
exactly.
Our,
Fish is playing War Thunder. It's crazy.
Tony Tomasi, our senior VP of content technology, is an avid gamer.
Yeah, it is awesome
With
to get
League
to
of
work on
Legends
something that is our passion. So PC gaming in general. We're doing great things. We really are. We're doing great things that are making gaming better for everybody, including us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that-
occasionally some things are just better on us because we did the work and we're going to optimize for ourselves. Sorry, but we don't stop anybody else from doing the same for
Yeah.
their
So-
platform.
Well,
Actually, on that note, sorry, Richard Huddy was mentioning that you guys, I think it was Crisis or something like that, you guys added a bunch of tessellation to the core of a game. And
the accusation was you guys are tessellating the water underneath the island.
underneath, yes.
And 100 times more than you would ever need for the
Wow.
effect.
I
in order
don't
to
really
make
know
it
the
run
specifics
slower.
at the time. That was a while
Because
ago.
we know, in
But
that generation,
it's sometimes
it-
possible that maybe some bug or something slipped through the application developer's process
to
somewhere.
It's
It's not necessarily a conspiracy when you see something like that, and usually they're fixed later on.
right. But I mean, this is an industry where people love conspiracies. Like
Yeah.
if you had
It's so
we were
much
talking
more
about
exciting
Intel
to
here,
sit
I'm
here-
pretty
What
sure
were
you
we
guys
talking
would think,
about?
yeah, right, I know.
Those guys never.
I mean, we've got this crazy conspiracy where we want to make gamers that use our stuff like it.
It's a good deal.
Give them good
Right.
value. I mean, what a crazy conspiracy that is.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk about G-Sync for a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I do think there's a couple of things that were stated that I do want to directly respond to. So
Right, the extra frame of latency.
The extra frame of latency.
Bring that up.
Okay, so again, we can talk about things that we know about, which we've developed from scratch and invented. And there's a bunch of things that were said there that I just feel compelled on behalf of the team to comment on. First of all, there is a buffer in the module that we developed, and the buffer is not adding latency, right? It'd be dumb to do that, right? And Huddy's he's a smart guy. He should be smart enough to know that it's not adding a frame of latency. But it's a look-aside buffer. So what a look-aside buffer means is that as data's coming in off of the cable, we're comparing it to the buffer. And the reason we're doing that is to kind of say, what is the next pixel to be drawn on the screen? And to do a good calculation of what we have to do to that next pixel, we need to know the value of the new bit coming in, that's the direct off the cable, compared to what's on the screen. So we're going to compare the new bit to the existing bit to calculate what to do to drive the screen, right? So that's called a look-aside buffer, and it doesn't add latency because it's a calculation that's happening in real time. It would be dumb to build a monitor that for gaming that added 16 milliseconds of latency, right? By the way, that is awesome. So if you guys have not seen the monitors that are coming into market, right now ASUS is in review with their new 25 by 14 monitor at 144. If you read any of the reviews, and by the way, you should get one if you haven't. Have you got one?
Not yet, the Swift? No.
Yeah, you should get it because it
not
is,
a CS.
most of the reviews I see say that this is the best gaming monitor they've ever seen. And the reason is because not just that it makes the great experience, but it's really low latency. And by having that buffer on the chip, by having hardware in the panel, we can do all kinds of advanced processing to compensate both for your eye and for how the panel behaves, and defects that you would normally just take for granted can be eliminated. So we, again, it's a pattern you're going to see with us. I'm sorry to say, we invested and developed real technology. We discovered real problems that need real physical changes, and that requires work inside the panel.
Now, G-Sync's a perfect example. It could have been done earlier. There's really no technical reason why we didn't.
It wasn't good enough,
problem,
right?
Finally, and we did it, and then now all of a sudden, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go back to, there's been a couple of claims also from guys, I don't want to comment on who, that this was existing technology. Now, anybody that's in the industry understands that it's not existing technology. It was invented from scratch. But it's using a tiny fraction of a spec that was sort of pre-existing in DP 1.2a back in the day, EDP actually. And the cool thing about that, the way to think about it is that portion of the spec is tiny. It's sort of like a hammer, right? It's a capability. Now, actually using the hammer to build a beautiful building, that's the new part, right? Just because a hammer existed, we're using it in a completely new way, and it's in a way that was not originally comprehended in the spec. So the innovation of G-Sync is not a VBlank extension or ignoring the EDID, which is what the spec is. The innovation of G-Sync is using that technology to implement a variable refresh rate monitor. Now, when you do that, if you actually physically do that, you'll see that there are defects in that experience. If you just had a variable rate monitor, that's not that great of an experience because frame rates vary a lot, right? Sometimes frame rates actually stop. They actually go to 0 or they go to 1. Now, what does a monitor that doesn't understand how to deal with that do? It just is not a great experience. So trust me. I mean, don't trust me. You're gonna look at it. If you had taken an existing panel and did somehow a flash update, the experience that you get is not good enough for us to call it G-Sync.
Is that what you're saying FreeSync is?
I'm not going to comment on FreeSync.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a spec. FreeSync is a.
You can go buy a G-Sync monitor right now.
Yeah,
and you can go try it.
Yeah, the way I look at it is there is a new spec coming, which is also poorly named DP 1.2a. The new spec, right?
The sequel.
Yeah, the sequel. I don't know why it's not 1.2b or something, but anyway, that spec has a tiny change in it. It is absolutely tiny, and all the spec change says you can ignore the basic timing coming from the panel, and the reason you're saying ignore me is because I want to change it variably. So that's the spec change. It's tiny. The hard work is taking that spec change and converting it into a product that you would be proud to call your own. Now, we've done that work. It is possible that at some point in the future, other technology providers do that work to make that technology great. But it doesn't come for free. And our strategy is definitely not hope. right? Our strategy for our gamers is we're going to invest. You know, we're going to put the engineers on it. We're going to do great development.
Take a risk.
We're going to take a risk. And you know what? The market may love it. And if it does, then we'll be compensated for our effort. We're going to take that margin and we're going to plow it back into development. And that virtuous cycle is moving gaming along. Now, we could take the other approach, which is, you know, we hope that somebody else does it because we're not going to invest in it. But that is not the NVIDIA way.
Okay.
Right, and of course you want to benefit from it. So
of course,
why not? Right.
It's almost like we're not going to apologize for the virtuous cycle of investing in core technology, bringing it to market, helping our partners bring it to market, giving it to people that want to buy it, and then taking the benefits of that and trying to recoup our investment and then do it again. You know, obviously our goal is to keep doing it. You know, we love it. Let's keep doing it.
Cool. Also, I noticed you guys. Sorry to put you on the hot seat. Well, I think we'll transition over to this.
I don't feel like I'm on the hot seat. I feel pretty good. You feel good?
Lukewarm.
Yeah. You might feel a little warmer.
I didn't mean to badger you guys with all these questions about AMD.
Jimmy.
It's good to set some of these things straight.
Right.
Well, I just want to say, so you are saying, as far as you know, there are no contracts that prohibit.
Speaking not as far as we know, definitively.
No.
I can definitively say that we have never had a contract in place with any game developer that precludes them from working with a competitor to optimize their games for a competitor. We have never done that.
Ditto.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And it would be stupid if we did.
Well, that was one of the points I brought up with Richard Huddy. Is I couldn't imagine a developer who wants to eat the support calls from people, but
it's a silly.
He had a very good argument for it. It's like, hey, it's a suit guy, business guy makes a decision, and developer has to eat the.
Do you really believe that though? I mean, on the one hand,
the business guy wouldn't want that.
No, nobody
That's actually
wants
a business
that.
decision, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going to harm themselves on a sizable percentage of their market.
I mean, there are dumb people out there, but they don't generally get to make big business decisions, right?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
They only get to make them once, right? They only get to make.
But game developers and publishers are savvy enough to know that that's a really bad idea, and they just wouldn't agree to that. What they do, what does happen, is that they enjoy all of the love and effort we throw at them. We give them engineers and artists who sit there and work with them and optimize the game in general, and specifically on our products, and they take that investment. That's fine. And unfortunately, the competition doesn't seem to want to or can't make the same size investment.
But we can only speculate on the competition.
Yeah, we don't know. But apparently, they just don't do the same thing. So.
Yeah.
So
but if they like to, they can.
I'm not saying it's anybody's fault.
Stopping them from doing
let's
that.
Gordon, I want to clarify that. It's not their fault.
Right.
There's different strategies that businesses take in the market. Our strategy, as you know, as I said, is to invest in core technology, to work with game developers to bring that technology so gamers can get a better experience. And if they like it, they'll prefer our cards. And over time, that's good for us and good for our customers.
Right.
AMD doesn't have that strategy. Now, whether maybe they do, maybe they don't. I shouldn't even comment on what their strategy is. It does not appear that that's their strategy.
They just want to be a component company that makes a component that you put in.
Yeah, which is fine, and that's a
PC,
totally valid strategy. It's just, let's not be confused. We're not following the same strategy. Our strategy is high risk, it's high cost, and it has high returns. And that's what we love, right? We're going to get in there, we're going to mix it up, we're going to do cool stuff, and if it works out, great. Guess what? Nobody ever complains about all the stuff that we develop that goes nowhere, and we eat it. Right? They're not like, oh, NVIDIA's losing so much money on that idea, please, let's do a Kickstarter. You know, it never happens like that, right?
Right. Well, just for end users, though, it's always a bummer because you want a monitor with G-Sync and FreeSync enabled. You want a GPU that accelerates TressFX and accelerates, physics. You want it all.
Oh my God!
There's basically three options here, right?
Right.
For us, like what I'm hearing. One, we can do what we're doing, which is continue to innovate, and sometimes that means that it's only on the NVIDIA platform you can get some of these things. The other option is to just not do it at all, which means it would probably not get done ever, and everybody suffers, whether they know it or not.
Right.
And the third is for us to just give away all of our
core technologies.
Core technologies.
Why can't you do that?
To everyone. Obviously, number 3 is not an option. That's crazy. And even though sometimes we do it. We do a lot of work that does end up benefiting the whole ecosystem, the whole market, including AMD. But in general, that's not a really good business strategy. I think our shareholders would probably get pretty upset if we started giving away all of our core IP to everyone. And number two is not an option either. Not doing anything because we don't want people to get angry with us that we're not giving it all away for free.
Come on.
That's not okay either. So we're just gonna plow along, continue to innovate, do things that nobody else is willing to do, invest big amounts and take these risks, and our customers will benefit from it.
Yeah. And by the way, Rev, I think you're doing a great job. Thank you.
But I mean, this is typical though. We see people. You guys you do take a lot of risks. That's granted. Like,
thank you, Glenn.
CUDA was a big risk early on.
Oh my God, that's a huge risk.
But aren't we at the point now where people are like, hey, OpenCL, and we're sort of, and you've got direct compute, you've got a lot of things. Why don't we have a unified standard instead of letting one? And the classic case you brought up earlier is letting one company sort of try to own it with Glide, right? And
well, let's clarify. We're not against OpenCL,
sure.
and there are customers that like OpenCL,
and we also
that's great,
support direct compute, and
right.
GL compute,
open standards. But there is one language that we invented, and we invest big dollars,
and it's for a totally different market, by the way. I mean, it's high performance computing, and that segment of our market is radically different than gaming. And
I don't think we get a lot of requests from them from Open.
No, we talk to our customers. They love CUDA, and the way that market works, they're fine using a proprietary thing because they build a supercomputer that's essentially proprietary anyway, and they want whatever's going to run best on that. Us owning CUDA lets us innovate in ways there that we couldn't otherwise if we had to wait for a standards body to approve some things.
I just got out of a meeting a couple days ago where we were talking about compute and some of the history of it, and I did not know actually about the book writing. That was really cool. Where the first thing we figured out after they kind of invented compute is how do we get people to adopt this? Because can you imagine the like moving an industry off of CPUs onto GPUs to understand, well, first how do you program it, and then what does it mean, and how do you scale it up? It's just a completely green field. How do you grow this thing?
It didn't exist.
It's a very different beast.
It's a huge paradigm shift.
Some of our leaders, like David Kirk, go and they basically say, well, the first thing we need is we got to educate people. We got to go work with the universities. We've got to write a book, right? How do you teach it? There's no books. So partnering with other professors, they go off and write books, and they do centers of excellence, and they teach and teach and teach. And over many, many years, this becomes a viable technique that's used through all the major supercomputers. That's what it's all about for NVIDIA, right? We're inventing core technology that we invest whatever it takes. Schools, books, APIs, SDKs, partners, game developers. I mean, monitor manufacturers. These are big investments, Gordon, and they're meant to significantly make the world a better place, and that's what we're doing.
Right, and but of course your enemies would say, well, they're just doing that because they want
enemies or competitors.
They want a competitive advantage.
This is how Gordon views the world.
Yeah, you're a pretty stark dude.
But I mean, if
I want to know about your childhood a little bit.
If you look at it and say, what if we didn't do CUDA? It's quite possible we wouldn't have any compute on GPUs right now.
It's very possible, right?
Yeah, it's quite likely that today we would not have OpenCL, direct compute.
Yeah, that's fair.
And GL compute. So
it's not fair. It's very likely, right?
What are we being asked to do here? To not create things so that our competitors can't cry foul that we have an advantage because we created it?
Yeah. I mean, and what about all the adjacent businesses that would suffer if we didn't do CUDA? Think about oil exploration. I mean, as you guys know, oil exploration uses CUDA to change the way they view the world, right? Instead of floating their little boat out into the middle of the Gulf of Mexico and then gathering data and going back to shore and figuring out if they were in the right place, they do that real time on the boat, right? It changes the world. Solving disease, solving pollution, I mean, there's just so much more that you can do in the world. So to suggest that we shouldn't innovate is just missing some basic understandings, right?
Yeah, I think
either we shouldn't innovate or we should give away all of the IP that we create to everyone.
Speaking of innovations, it's my understanding that you have something in the box.
We're changing the topic.
What's in the black box?
Well, obviously it's secret. Now we're going to do a box opening, faux box opening. Here we go. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
unboxing.
So this is the press kit for another innovation that we just launched. I don't know if you can see that, but it comes in a nice little black box. And the first thing you'll see is the Shield wireless controller.
Yeah, there's a camera probably up there.
Okay, up there.
We've been
Shield
told that's the best
wireless
camera
controller.
to use, yeah.
It is an awesome controller, and it looks a lot like our Shield Portable, where basically it's a console-grade controller, but it has some extra features, right? It's designed to work with streaming from your PC, but it also works with this awesome brand new Shield tablet, right? Shield tablet right there, an incredible gaming tablet. Now the thing about this tablet is not only is it is just fantastic as a tablet, right? When you're buying a tablet, it needs to do everything a tablet does, but it does it great because it's got the Tegra K1 in there, right? And it's got a stylus, and
For those that don't know, Tegra K1, that's essentially our first mobile chip, system on a chip that uses the same GPU core as our desktop parts.
Oh.
It has a Kepler core in there, so it's feature-wise identical to a Titan.
It is amazing.
It's
and you can
much
do
smaller
it,
and
do
runs
it
under
in
2
a-
watts,
yeah.
but it's
Crazy.
identical.
Yeah, it runs DirectX as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, OpenGL 4.4.
Wow.
I mean, it's the full deal. You can do compute, CUDA, all the kind of stuff that only the big boys could do before it can be done on this little tablet.
Technology is amazing.
Yeah.
In actual graphics performance, it is equivalent of
To a Titan.
a Titan in there.
but it's equivalent, essentially, or better in some cases than the previous generation of consoles, 360, PS3.
It's really amazing, and if you think about
And
it,
it's
it's
just gonna get
another
better.
giant investment, right? We're not just making chips; we're building platforms. And Shield is a huge investment for us. It's a major change. It's a new technology. This is not a tablet for everybody. This is a tablet for gamers, right? If you like gaming, you should not own a different tablet, because not only do you get to do everything you normally do with a tablet, but you can stream from your PC to this guy. You can connect this up to your TV. You can actually connect
You can stream to Twitch with it.
You can stream, and you can use the controller, connect up a microphone and a headset, sit in a cafe, play your game, and stream to Twitch all at the same time.
Cool.
It's ridiculous.
Then the game could be running on your PC at home, streaming to the tablet
Really?
at the cafe.
Yeah.
What's the,
There's-
what's the
And you
range
can
of that thing?
stream that to Twitch.
Yeah,
at
it's
the same
crazy.
time.
How is it getting streamed? I mean,
I got a secret.
we
Okay, it's
already
called
have that-
the internet.
well,
you're on
the reason
Wi-Fi.
I ask is because before the previous Shield,
Yeah, it was
in order-
in-house only.
Yeah,
It was until I forgot when was the
months
OTA.
back. Yeah,
a couple months ago we unlocked it so you can do it over the internet.
The best
Okay.
news about it now, Nvidia doing this, is that we're doing all the software, right? We're doing all the OTAs. We're working with Google.
It's based on a stock KitKat.
Yep.
So it's not like we're altering that experience.
Right.
But we're adding on top of that all of our custom software to add enhanced gaming features.
But the streaming and latency, that's always been kind of, with the original Shield, it was kind
yeah.
of a problem, right? I mean,
And we're
with the
working on
streaming part.
latency. I mean, every generation we get better at latency. And the truth
Have you tried
is,
it?
I did try it, but I have a basic. I mean, I have my.
Shield Portable.
Sheer portable.
I have a Shield Portable, but I have a router that is provided by my broadband.
Well, maybe we can help you with that, Gordon.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to try it to see, because I mean that is I thought it was a barrier, because if you have to change your router just
Yeah.
to play stream, that's
Yeah.
kind of a. Has it
it's becoming
improved
more
with
and more
this?
common. Basically, you need a
5 gigahertz.
Yeah,
Dual
5
band.
5
gigahertz.
gigahertz.
And a lot of people have them these days. I know,
Right.
like my ISP gave me one that has
Yeah.
5 gigahertz.
Right, but that is just a problem. And honestly, this is the same. I've talked with Steam about this, or Valve, the Valve
Yeah.
guys, because they latency is a huge problem
It
for
is.
them, because, and the routers are all designed for massive throughput.
Yeah.
They don't care about
It's
latency.
true.
So
And it's going to take time, and there may be more routers that are better than others. But the best news about this is that we're doing the GPU. We're doing the GPU software. We're working the entire stack. So we actually control the entire path of latency. And since we care so much about it, we can optimize it. And we measure it, and it gets better, and it gets better, and it gets better. And the truth is, this is awesome. I mean, the playing experience here is way better than a console.
So when you're talking about playing in the coffee shop on the Shield tablet, it sounds like you're describing like your personal on live system.
Yeah.
It is kind of
Yeah.
like that, right?
Well, they have grid.
And
and we also have grid, right?
we
Which is
also
very
have
much like
game
the online
streaming
system.
from the cloud as well.
Yeah. but it is the future of gaming. I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times where, you saw the transition from movies where it went from, go to a theater, then somebody invented VCRs, then DVDs. But then the big transition was when you could go to iTunes or go to some movie service and download your movie. And then it transitioned to streaming with Netflix. And now, obviously, Netflix is growing rapidly. So movies have completely moved to a streaming model.
Yeah, it happened with music first, then video.
Yep. And now gaming is the problem that's not solved, right? And
it's a lot harder.
And gaming has that extra problem of round trip latency because you move the controller, it's got to go up to whatever your server is, and then the picture comes down. And that's an end-to-end problem that we are particularly well suited to solve.
Do you think and one of the things I do kind of wonder about NVIDIA Grid is there scale? Because if you had a rack of computers, you could serve, I don't know, 85,000 people for email, for an email server, right? Or a file server, you could serve 5,000.
Right.
If it were a gaming rack, you could serve, what, 200 people? Are we going to get to a point where you can really have remotely rendered games?
Yeah,
and
absolutely, Gordon. I'll bet you your...
When's that going to happen?
I'll bet you your car.
Well, that's not much of a bet.
Well, the cloud is an interesting.
Take that one.
Cloud gaming is an interesting spectrum. I mean, if you think about it, there's kind of two spectrums of the cloud. There's the streaming we're talking about, where essentially the client side is dumb. All it's doing is decoding video and encoding signals from a controller and sending it up. Then the other end of the spectrum is something like an MMO, where you have a server that does some of the work. But most of the actual work for the game is being done on the client side. All the graphics are being rendered there, physics, et cetera, although some of it is done there. And there's a spectrum in between. So as we start deploying more of this cloud gaming with the really dumb stuff, we're going to start seeing a market open up to create some games that are in between there.
Yeah.
So there's very interesting, if you look at a game, it's very interesting that a lot of the really expensive computation is not something that needs to be done per client. So the physics, AI, even diffuse global illumination, you can calculate that once and share it across multiple users. So it might actually be more efficient to have a set of servers that do the total calculation and then share that across 100 instances than it is to have 100 supercomputers essentially sitting in everybody's house calculating the same thing. So putting stuff in the cloud might actually make it so there's less overall computation that needs to happen to do the same work.
So you're saying NVIDIA's giving up on video cards and selling tablets?
No,
sounds like where we're heading to.
So I had this actual discussion at a PAX panel, and I was the guy, believe it or not, I was up there with some really bright guys, and I was talking about how, gaming is eventually, in the long run, moving to a streaming model. We think there's going to be a segment that's always going to want to do the absolute, photorealistic, beautiful, I'm going to do it locally, and that's going to be them for a long, long time. And then there's the console grade kind of mobile gamer that's kind of floating up. And this is the way technology has worked for everything. Starts really low.
And maybe the same gamer even. Like,
it's definitely the same gamer.
I'm at work and I feel like playing a few rounds of whatever shooter.
Yeah.
I want to launch it in my web browser and play a little bit, on my break.
Absolutely.
Or not on my break.
That guy, that capability is going to get better and better and better over time. And the question is not, does NVIDIA support it or not? It's going to happen, right? And now the beauty of our company is that we can organize around that innovation, that disruptive innovation, and we can lead it while not losing focus on the fact that we're, this is our market, we're the leader in this market. But if we ignore it and we let it happen around us, then that's when we become old and stale and irrelevant. So that's not going to happen without us definitely engaging. But we're not giving up on our current market. We're investing heavily in that, and that's where we're going to continue to leave. But if this style streaming adds value to gamers, then we're going to make sure that we're the leader in that new capability.
And when are you giving this technology to AMD and Intel? Because I'm kind of wondering.
You have to play fair.
You know what? They can watch this podcast. It'll be like a leapfrogging from where they are, right?
Now, I noticed on the side of the box that it says Shield Tablet Wi-Fi. So I was wondering why it's special. Is there an
There's
LT?
a couple versions. Yeah, there's an LT version.
Okay.
Yeah. There's it's skewed up. You can look at the material we gave you. There's a couple different SKUs of this. I think the entry SKU is $299. Is that
Yes.
right? $299. The high end SKU is $399.
I believe so.
Yeah, and you get LTE, more storage.
Okay.
But this it's got SD cards. It's great. Two cameras.
And the controller is separate though from the
Controller is
$299.
separate. Yeah.
$59.
$59.
Okay.
And you should probably
It's a
also
really
mention-
cool controller.
Yeah, it's not Bluetooth either. It's a Wi-Fi direct.
Wi-Fi direct controller,
so
low latency.
Low latency.
Great experience.
So
you can plug your headset directly into it.
And there's a little trackpad
so you don't
right
have
here.
to be connected to the tablet.
Trackpad
Nice.
right there.
Nice.
And it'll stream the audio back and forth from the controller to the
Yeah, it's also a mic. It's got a mic
to the
on here.
tablet.
You can like do voice recognition on the controller. It's crazy.
Is there a bundle SKU yet?
I don't think so. No, it's sort of just sold separately. I mean, retailers can bundle it like they always do, but having it like bundled together in the same box, that's not the plan.
Also, can I use the Shield controller just as a regular Windows game controller, or does it only
Yes.
work with?
If your machine has Wi-Fi Direct support, I
Or
guess.
can you plug in USB?
I don't think it's got a USB mode.
I don't know about
Sure,
that.
yeah.
But
Good question. We'll check on that one. I'm
Okay.
not. I don't want to.
But it's supposed to work with.
I'm not going to pretend.
Just say yes.
I gotta say that I find it kind of weird that you guys didn't bundle it together. I mean, because obviously you guys are pitching it as a gaming tablet, so naturally you eventually going to have to buy the controller. So why not?
Well, I think the
Bundle it.
game console market has kind of shown the way a little bit on this. The more you bundle, the higher the price gets, and the more difficult.
That's Connect, basically. Is that
I mean, some people might just want the tablet. They want the baddest ass graphics tablet out there. And
Absolutely.
Since the tablet's based on KitKat, can I use other controllers that are compatible?
Yeah, Bluetooth.
You can use a
Absolutely.
Bluetooth controller. So
Absolutely.
if you already have one and you're happy with that,
Okay.
then
The reason
and
we
you can
did this
put
is
it in
not to.
console
I mean,
mode.
we're not preventing people from doing whatever they wanted to do. This is just better, right? It is. It's got a great feel. It's got some extra features on the touchpad, and it's got better latency.
I think some people
Why don't we open
were.
it up?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's dig into this guy.
I think some people were under the impression that the controller, you had to get the Nvidia controller to use the tablet to its fullest
no.
extent.
I mean, already you can use a Bluetooth controller with our
Nice
Shield
box.
Portable.
Okay.
I think it was last year we introduced an
Right
OTA where
This one.
you can with a new mode that we call console mode.
Oh!
It's all right.
All right, shouldn't tilt it upside down.
It's only a flesh wound.
You can plug your Shield Portable into and this Shield into your TV with an HDMI cable
Look at that.
and use a Bluetooth controller to control it. So that same software, everything is available on this tablet too.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I have a question. I was a fan of, I don't want to sound like a shill, but I was a fan for the original Shield because I thought it really offered a great platform for really just sucky Android games because they suck. I mean, just generally. That's my feeling of Android games. I really thought this would be a great reference platform people could build on.
That's what we're doing. We're like, this is a big risk. We're going to create this
Are you still
platform so
pining for
people-
great games?
Yes, because it never showed up. It
Has
just never.
not hit the knee in your mind yet?
It just
Okay. But I can guarantee you, I mean, I shouldn't guarantee you. I'm not going to make false claims here. but but I can tell you that it's super likely that Google Play and the Android infrastructure for games is going to get better. Super likely, right?
Right.
And I
Maybe.
think it's true, and I believe Google has announced
You
that
look
the-
at their financials
yeah,
on this. I mean, they put it out there.
The number one
90%
revenue
of the
source
revenue
is
comes from games.
Games on Google
Yeah,
Play.
but I mean,
Well,
the games are not even what I mean. Come on, you can play them in a browser in Flash.
But,
like
but,
Flash
Gordon,
five.
you know the phenomenon that's going to happen. Infrastructure gets deployed, installed base
chicken or egg
appears,
problem.
right? So what Nvidia? Gosh, can you believe it? We're investing. We're taking a risk. We're deploying great infrastructure.
Right.
Now the game guys are going to look at here, and when there's millions of these things out there, they're going to go, "Oh, look at that installed
So
base. Let's do great
we include
games." Right?
Trine with this, right?
Yeah. Trine is
Which
bundled.
is a great game. We work closely with them
But
to.
isn't it the classic thing where developers like, am I going to make a game for the $50 billion $99 tablets to sell at Walmart or the $300
And that's
Nvidia
why
Shield?
at
True.
this stage we work with them often doing a lot of the work.
It's the
to-
same
Are you?
story.
Do you have contracts preventing those developers from supporting
They're not.
upcoming
Yeah,
AMD or
they can
Nvidia
actually
or
not
AMD
support iOS
games?
games if they work with us.
I want to see these.
Sorry, I had to throw that in.
But we brought Half-Life 2 and Portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Isn't
mean,
that great?
but I mean, it was like, come on. I mean, it's like you're in a desert of just lousy games. Like, oh, Half-Life 2, great.
That's fair.
It's
That's
nothing.
fair.
It's just-
But again, I think it's important to understand our strategy.
Chicken or egg.
right?
Right.
We're gonna take the big risk. We're gonna do the big investments. We're gonna build products. We're gonna deploy it, But we're going to support it. We're going to price it right, and then over time, we're going to bring the rest of the industry with us. Right? That's our plan.
And you also have Game Stream from your PC to it. It's a great companion to your PC gaming. Now you can do it remotely, and we have Grid, our cloud service as well. So to compensate for the fact that you don't have console-grade AAA games, not many of them on Android yet, you can fill that with the streaming stuff.
Yeah, I think we should get the other guys in here and ask them
a
what they
heavy box.
actually are doing. All right, you ready?
I'm gonna power this thing on.
So
Is it
let's hit
juice?
the power button. Okay, here we go. Power button. Where's it right here? Okay.
You guys got to put more specs in the box.
Really? It's boring.
Oh, there they are.
Okay, we're turning it on. Very exciting. Nvidia. Android.
Doesn't
So
say
are there
the,
actually any benchmarks on tablets that you guys actually respect at this point?
We're killing on all of them.
Okay.
Whether we respect them or not. If you go look at their
What do you respect?
that's
though?
like
Crushing, right?
Which
one or
ones
two
do you-
times faster.
Which
than
ones do you
any
think are the most useful?
I have a benchmark.
I
It's
can't
just simply a static JPEG image. That's just. But I'm just.
So you have a text benchmark that
Text
you're using?
benchmark, yes.
Nice.
That actually leads me to my next question: is do we really need K1 in a tablet when Tegra 4 is arguably still like the most powerful mobile SoC today?
Go for it. Do we
No,
need
the
K1?
most powerful SoC is K1.
K1.
Yeah. I mean, that's not officially out in the market yet.
I think
Yeah,
it's
it is.
available
Is it?
on the 29th, right?
Oh, and
you can pre-order now and
Yeah,
In
yeah.
China, Xiaomi has been selling
K1. Yeah.
K1
Tablet.
in
Okay.
their tablet.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it seems like people aren't even tapping into the power of Tegra 4. So my question is, like, do we need something
Absolutely.
that's
Again,
overkill?
Jimmy, the way to think about it is it's deploying infrastructure that there are going to be some key games that we work closely with to get it deployed right away so you can get a great
It's the
experience.
same thing we do at GeForce.
Exactly the same thing. And then over time, this installed base attracts development. And it's in our interest, and it's in the industry's interest that we keep pushing forward graphics, and the deployed base gets bigger and bigger and bigger, just like in graphics. And then over time, we all benefit. Now, in the beginning, there's going to be some guys that are just like, "Oh my God, I gotta have that!" Game streaming on in a cafe and switching. That's incredible, right? I mean, you can't do that today. So this is a new capability. It's a new use case, and that's what's great about it is that's going to allow us to deploy more and more great graphics in tablets. And then over time, game developers are going to go, "Yeah, of course, we're going to do that." That's a no-brainer. It's just the way markets work.
Gotcha. So you guys are trying to create the market as opposed to just wait.
We are. We're not hoping. Our strategy is not hope.
Gotcha.
Our strategy, there is no try. There is do. Do or do not do.
Like Gordon, I really liked the original Shield. One of my problems with it was that it was a little too big and bulky and heavy.
Yeah.
So I do I'm kind of missing that design. I was hoping you guys were going to announce like a Shield 2 that was going to be slimmer and lighter.
Yeah, because the original Shield is highly compatible because it has a screen on the controller.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Yeah.
I ride
It's awesome.
I ride the train
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
This is a little bit harder to carry on the train because
Sure.
you need a desk.
I
and
totally
stuff
get
like
it. Now, Shield Portable is still an awesome product. We're still supporting and selling and building Shield Portable, right? And that is going to be awesome. And that form factor is awesome too. So we're not going to make any announcements about stuff that's not here today. But the truth is that form factor is awesome for people that want it. But there's a whole bunch of other people.
And we're happy we created it.
Yeah, and we're gonna, it's great. But now here's a new form factor for people that really want tablet. And what's great about it is you can use a controller and you get almost that Shield Portable experience. But I think the way to think about it is we've learned a lot on Shield Portable, and now we identified that there's another class of customers that really wanted a tablet. And this is just not any tablet. It's a tablet with front-facing speakers with great bass that you can sit down. You can get a great gaming experience. There's customers like that, right?
So
and that's our plan. Yeah.
you're saying that the original Shield Portable, going from that to this is not like linear process. It's more like branching
Yes.
out. Okay.
Yes. This is not an evolution of
This
Shield
is not a
Portable.
replacement for
Okay.
Yeah,
portable.
this
Okay.
is Shield the family. And Shield the family has a controller because we found some people really want to take their Shield, they want to close the lid, connect it to a TV, and it'd be great if they had a controller.
Okay.
Right? So, you know what? We need a goddamn controller. Let's do a controller.
Okay.
And then, you know what? There's
Since
another
we
class
learned a
of
little bit
guys.
about controllers with the
Yeah,
portable, we
let's do
applied
it.
what we learned from that.
I got to tell you, I love working at Nvidia. I really do. It is just a fun day. It's just fun to do it.
Did you get?
You guys should have had a touch screen in the middle and two great big touch pads on the side.
Well, you know, this works with all your touch
wait,
controls.
yeah.
It works
Yeah.
with your touch controls.
I was going to ask you, did you guys consider the Razer Edge route by having the controller on the side?
It's just not that. I mean, obviously everything got considered, but I think this is just a better experience or shield.
Right,
So you're not going to want to carry around this big thing.
I can attest to that because I reviewed that.
Yeah.
Why
it's
the
not-
stylus?
Because there's people that love the stylus interface, and it's not
There's
just
an
the stylus.
awesome
It's
app
got
that we include.
it's called Dabble,
Dabbler.
where you can do kind of paint. And since it's a GPU,
And
it
it uses
does
a compute.
real-time lighting for oil paints, so you can actually see the three-dimensional slickness.
It's
I
using
gotta see this thing
compute for
now.
the image.
Oh yeah,
processing.
paints blend, so you're you're kind of doing watercolors, but they're realistic watercolors. So gravity fed, so you tilt it, and you different. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And the stylus allows you to do handwriting recognition, and you can do swipe, and you can, it's not just any stylus either. It's got very low latency stylus, so that you get much more natural feel of writing.
And the 8-inch size, did you guys do that because it's the best way to hit their price point, or is everybody decided 8-inch tablets are the
It's the
Sweet
new-
spot.
it's the new
Sweet
7.
spot right
Yeah,
now?
sweet spot.
And it needs to be big enough so that you could have a good gaming experience on it.
And somewhat portable, where
7-inch
10
was-
inches
Exactly.
are not.
Yeah, 10 inches just a little big.
All right, so for those of you who haven't actually seen a close-up of what the default screen looks like, it's just your standard Android tablet
Kit.
interface.
What is it, 1900 by 1200?
And,
19 by 12.
You can
Yeah.
bring up the Nvidia.
You have the tray at the bottom with Google Chrome and Gmail and
Yeah.
Google Music, and you got your whole app.
I believe there's a new
Drawer.
Shield Hub.
There is a Shield Hub. We should bring it up.
Yeah,
Sure.
which allows you to
Shield Hub. Have you done the demos for this guy?
I haven't done
Let's
it.
do it.
So is that mostly vanilla KitKat? I mean, can I just plug into the Play Store and download all the apps I want?
It is, yeah. It is a real, honest to God,
Because-
awesome KitKat. So
I mean, the
here's-
reason I ask is
here's
because
Shield Hub.
we also had the Nook HD in the past, where they use this whole proprietary shell on top of Android. And
So let me clarify. What
No.
this is a front end on the store. Right?
Okay.
And
Right.
it allows you to discover apps that run great on this device. Now, it's not replacing the store. We're not like
And
setting
like
up our own
GeForce
place.
Experience, it has the other features. I think the streaming.
Yeah,
and stuff, it's
you
all
can
through
you can
there.
actually connect to your PC. You can pair it with a PC. This is the vehicle, and it's an easy, great interface to access all of the additional features that are Shield specific.
Right.
But
in
it's an
fact,
app within that. It's not a replacement.
when you
of-
buy the game, it takes you to the Google Store. Too.
It
Yes.
does, absolutely. And so you
So you can
get
use your
your
normal
normal KitKat experience, but if you want to interface directly with the hardware, directly with the capabilities that are Shield, we make it easy to discover your PC games, to launch your PC games. It is just freaking awesome. I got to tell you, you're going to have to try it to believe how good it is.
okay.
Yeah,
You wouldn't lie to us, right?
I don't lie. I mean, why would I lie?
We don't do that.
I've been here a long
not like
time.
those other
He doesn't
people.
lie. I don't lie. We've been with this company a long,
These
long
guys
time.
have never ever lied.
I have never lied. You know that. Hey, with
I'm
the-
lying right now.
Well, you know what, Gordon? We
You're
are not the
sitting.
same guy. Actually, I don't know if I've ever caught you in a lie. I don't think you have.
I lied
You've
about
said
it.
things that are not true, but,
Yes,
but
that's not the
different
same.
from lying a lie,
That was-
right?
that's a
lying
different
is when
point
you
of
sit in
view.
this
Very
chair
smooth.
and you say something you know to not be true.
It worked for Ben
That is
Kenobi.
lying. So if I were sitting in this chair saying things that I know are not true, that's lying. You know it when you see it.
Cool. Well, I look forward to reviewing this thing.
Yeah.
It looks pretty
Yeah,
fun.
if there's some people watching or listening to the podcast who haven't gotten a quick rundown of the specs and haven't somehow looked it up by now on the internet, it's 8-inch screen diagonally, 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of internal memory with a micro SD card slot.
You know.
2 gigabytes of RAM. I
Two
think.
5-megapixel cameras.
Yeah,
Yep, so you can
it's got a MIMO
Front and
Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0. And the 192 core Kepler GPU.
Should run Tron.
I'm
And
gonna.
the screen is 1920 by 1200.
Yeah, so I just let me back up. I'm back in the. Let me go over here. So I'm back in the Shield hub, and one of the tabs you can see is My Android Games, and I'm clicking on it, and right away you see that Trine 2 is bundled, right? So very easy to discover the game, and you just click on that guy, and we are now launching the complete story of Trine 2. I'm really glad I'm wearing the headset so I can hear. So I can tell when I'm like off axis.
It's very directional.
Yeah. So here we are. We're loading it up. And what you're going to see is this is going to use all the capabilities of the K1. So very cool. I'm going to play a lot more Trine 2 in the next couple of weeks, I can tell right
We're
now.
gonna try opening up
The
the
developers who
controller as
developed
well.
this Frozen Byte are awesome too.
Yeah?
Cool guys.
Oh, did you want to
They
open
really,
yourself, or did you want
they
to?
really
You want to do it?
pushed-
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you can do it to the camera. That's
Okay,
fine.
I'll do it for the camera.
push
All
the
right,
limits.
made for Nvidia Tegra. Oh,
Yeah, you can hear it.
front facing. I heard it through my.
Is it
things.
stereo speakers? Or?
It is stereo
Yeah.
speakers. Yeah.
I like things like my Samsung S5 where they put the speaker on back.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're in the first scene. I'll show it up here. So they're explaining how to use the controls, and we can kind of connect up here. But let's just get back to this thing. I'm into the scene. Oh wow! All right, so I'm shooting. Well, you can't really see it, but
There's another camera right here too. If you guys want to shoot this one.
okay. So I'm running to the side and I'm shooting. Yeah, it's awesome.
And we also have the Rev is opening up the box for the controller.
to shoot up. So what I'm getting here is basically a console grade, or even better. Actually, this is better than most consoles.
Well, yeah, because it's running at 1920 by 1200.
Exactly. It looks beautiful. You can check it out for yourself. Go ahead, comment on the beauty, or not. It's your artistic,
Also, it's, my other specs I noticed is it has about a 5200 milliamp hour battery.
Yes.
I guess the Nexus 7 is about 6,000 or something
I think it's in that order.
So that's pretty cool.
From what I hear, it's about 10 hours of watching movies and about 5 hours.
That's what I've heard. I don't think we've really released a lot of the timing, but that's
Depends on the
rough.
kind of game you
Yeah,
play.
depends on
If
the
you're playing
game.
Angry Birds, it could be
Forever.
10 hours.
Angry Birds forever.
But if you play a game like Tron, I think it's about 5
All right,
hours.
Gordon's getting into
So,
the
so
controller.
Gordon, how are you liking the controller?
Feels like a. I was looking for the scene where they took the screen off to shoot portable. It is not.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can you do me a
It's
favor? Can
kinda
you take
similar.
the tape off the top? It just looks. There you go.
Yeah,
It's bugging
there
you?
go.
Yeah, it's bugging me
Yeah.
a little bit.
And then there's tape on all the tabs too.
So I mean, to me, it feels a lot better to hold than the Shield Portable. It's a lot lighter, obviously.
It is obviously
less
a lot
bulky.
lighter.
How do you pair? I've never used a Wi-Fi Direct device before. Is it
It's
easy to
just
pair?
directly discovered, right? You just sort of click the button and it pairs. Go to settings.
Okay, so it's pretty similar to Bluetooth.
Oh yeah.
And you are still supporting the controller emulation stuff that you guys have. That
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, by the way. That takes
Yeah.
games that are developed for a tablet, and there's thousands of them, and it maps them automatically to the controller on Shield,
Right.
Shield Portable. So it means that you can use left and right and all the buttons, and it all just works with that touch interface that was originally developed for a tablet. So I love the entire experience. It's really great.
I kind of wish you guys built a stand on the back. I know you guys have a cover which we can show people.
Yeah.
but
Okay, one more thing. So Shield stand right here. Okay, comes in another box. It is sold separately.
And how
That's a
much?
cover that folds into.
$29, I believe.
$29.
Do you need the knife again?
Do I need a knife? I think this might be an actual rip it apart kind of situation.
Okay, that's fine.
But
It's the
let's go ahead and cut it.
nastiest
Let's
unboxing
cut
ever.
it. Let's cut it,
Cut it.
man. All right. So for the guys at home, sorry.
Yeah, so it also acts as a cover as well, right?
Yeah, stand and a cover.
Gotcha.
How are you finding it is? How hard has it been to work with Android game developers? Because you guys, Nvidia has a lot of
There
experience
you go.
Just open the bottom.
in DevRel, but how hard is it to get these guys to really optimize for your hardware?
Rev, you want to come?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I'm just kind of wondering because how hard is it to get the mobile guys to actually sort of go and optimize for your hardware? I mean, obviously you're used to sort of PC developers, even console developers, but are mobile guys
essentially the
same
problem.
mindset?
It's sort of like the PC industry about 10, 15 years ago.
Right. Yes.
So we've been there.
It's that
and
way in
we-
benchmarks too. I will tell you. So.
There we go. Okay, so that's the Shield cover on
Yeah,
it. Kinda
benchmarks
makes
is
it
a
nice.
similar situation.
And it's got the normal, you can fold it up and use it as a stand. So you can kind of do the normal stuff, and it's pretty great. You can imagine being in a cafe, connected to your controller, playing your game, and you can even connect in from right there, the headset, and you can do a mic headset playing your game, streaming to Twitch.
So a lot of our readers, they're hardcore PC enthusiasts, and sometimes they don't like us talking about tablets. Well, we like tablets, and some of our readers like tablets. We're just wondering if you guys have a similar audience as well.
The audience that we have are gamers. And it's very true that most PC gamers also game in other platforms. And, we're not against any gaming. I game in all kinds of ways. We're most passionate, obviously, about PC gaming because you can do the most. You can rip up your PC, put a new card in there,
That will always be the absolute best cutting edge experience.
And we're going to
right?
make sure that is freaking awesome because that's where we live, right? This is for me or us when we're not at our PC. And when we're not at our PC, it shouldn't be like we are devoid of all gaming privilege. You know, it's not punishment. So if you're a PC gamer, this is for you because you get a great PC streaming experience. It's the only device that can do that very well. And by the way, it's also a great Android gaming. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Gotcha, cool. If you don't mind, can we move on to some breeder questions?
Sure.
Cool. All right, so...
by the way, who's doing the review on this? Is that going to be you?
That would be Jimmy.
All right, excellent. Well, let me know what you think. I think it's freaking ridiculous.
So send the checks my way.
Send the check.
Yeah. We wish.
Hey. Never. Little girl swinging around over there.
Homie, don't play that.
Don't play that.
And our readers are going to say that stuff anyways, so I just thought...
Oh,
tell them the
that ain't
truth.
right.
There's always
That
somebody
ain't
who says
right. That ain't right.
So Malcolm Reynolds from Facebook. Malcolm Reynolds, isn't that the guy from Firefly?
Mal, yeah, I think so.
We should get him on the podcast.
I love that show, by the way. I'm so sad. That got canceled. So sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
Tragic.
It's one of my favorite shows,
They
too.
only did one movie, right?
I know it's not out yet, but will the 800 series initially be on 20 nanometer or 28?
So obviously, Jimmy, this is a fire Tom or don't fire Tom kind of question. And today, Rev, I'm going to go with don't get fired. So we have no comment on any unreleased products.
We
yet.
can't talk about that.
Can you guys disclose your entire unannounced
We
roadmap?
have to ask.
Huh?
Can you
we
announce your entire undisclosed product?
You know what? Let's
right now?
consult on that.
Also,
Should
what
we-
you're working on 5 and 10
Oh,
years.
yeah, that's a
maybe
great
we
question.
And then can you
we should
share
take
with
all of the
AMD?
IP too
And I'll share with
upload it to the
AMD.
internet.
Right now. Yeah, sure.
Jensen's calling right now. He said something about
It wouldn't even be a call. It would just be I go back and my badge doesn't work.
There's a laptop that shows up on your forehead.
Exactly.
and-
Pop, boop, boop, boop. I'm met at the door.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just had to throw it out there. Eric Plemons asks, this is a pretty harsh one. What is the exact purpose of the Titan Z given its $3,000 price?
Ooh, excellent. So Titan Z has got two roles. One is it's for people that really want to do CUDA development, and it's obviously a great CUDA device. Got 2 full GPUs, and it does it in a form factor that works on most PCs. Right, you just sort of plug it in, and you turn your normal PC into basically a supercomputer, and you can do all of the development much lower cost than they're used to seeing for that class of performance on CUDA. So that's one real market that works very well for that GPU. It's actually from their perspective, cheap, right? Now, the other class is gamers. So this is the card that you can actually take and you can plug into a PC and you can get the performance of 2 Titans. And some people just don't want to mess with SLI. They just want to get the best you can get. And Titan Z is actually a phenomenal gaming
Power efficient
experience.
and quiet.
Yeah, you can actually plug that thing in. And now it is true that you can get SLI, and it's a bigger form factor, and it's got connectors, and some people just don't want to deal with it. You want it on one card, and that is what Titan Z is all about. It's for people that are not that worried about the total cost of the system. They're more looking for the absolute best you can get.
It seems as though a person could get a couple 780 Ti's or comparable AMD cards for much less money.
Yeah.
It seems difficult to justify the premium of
Well, you know
Titan.
what? Here's the way I think about it. When you go and buy, this is something I've never done, but I've heard there's some people in NVIDIA that have done this. You go and buy a car. Now, you'll see that your basic car, your Ford, has a certain perf per dollar. And that perf per dollar ratio is, think of it as the Ford ratio. And I don't mean to cut on Ford people. It's just a price point that we're all familiar. Let's say it's a $25,000 car and you get to go 0 to 60 in whatever it is. You can go up that performance metric, whatever you want to call it, and buy a BMW or buy a Lexus, whatever, and you're getting something better. Now, some people say it's not worth it. Right, because you're more price sensitive, you're looking at the performance saying that more expensive thing is not worth the benefit that I'm getting. And then there's even people after the BMW that'll go up to like a Maserati, they'll go up to like some supercar, and they're talking millions of dollars. Now, the metric that you measure might be the same, but it is a non-linear function in terms of dollars for
Price
that
performance.
price performance. It's non-linear, right? It's non-linear for cars. It's non-linear for wine. It is non-linear for graphics cards.
But usually the jump isn't that large. I mean, you can get
2 Titans for $2,000.
or you can get a 290.
Actually, take like a Porsche. You have the standard Porsche when you buy it. Then there's the S, and then there's a turbo. If you look at the curve on that, I mean, the difference between an S and a turbo is not that much.
Yeah.
But the price difference is huge.
But what's more important about Titan Z is that it delivers an amazing experience, and it is for an exclusive a buyer.
At that price, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing to be defensive about, right? It's an expensive product for a customer that's very discerning. It has the best thermal solution we've ever done. It really does. It's unreal. And if you're looking for absolutely the best PC gaming experience you can get in a single card design, it is unmatched. Now, we're taking a lot of that technology, which we developed for the very high end, and we bring it down over time. Right, and that it's similar to our invest strategy, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but if you were
and to the first point with the supercomputing stuff, I mean, it's the Titan class of GPUs we have are the only ones where we have full double precision performance, just like in our Tesla high performance computing line. So if you're a scientist or an engineer who has a supercomputer at work and want to do some of that work at home, Titan's a perfect card for you.
Yep.
And it's cheap in comparison.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a fair question because I've had it come up a lot of times, and it's almost like you gotta look at it from the market's perspective. What is the buyer? Who is the buyer? And what do they care about? And are they sensitive?
You know, when we released the first Titan, everybody said you're crazy. Nobody's going to buy.
Do you realize
a GPU
that we
that
cannot
price or
keep
whatever?
Titan Black in stock? It is so popular.
And it was exactly the opposite.
Yeah, it's true.
They're
It's
flying off the
amazing.
shelves.
Amazing.
So if you were a consumer and you were shopping at Fry's or Newegg and you were looking at an R9 295X2, $1,500, slightly faster in some
Yes.
benchmarks, versus a Titan Black, you would actually.
Titan Black?
I mean, sorry, Titan Z. You would actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
me personally, let's see. Let me think again. I'll buy the
I think I know
Titan
the
Z.
answer. But you do understand. I mean, it's a little odd because usually you sort of have a comparable product.
Yeah.
But there isn't really one that stacks up because
Right.
X2 is a consumer product. Titan Z is sort of a.
Straddling.
Yeah, I think it's a stretch to call X2 a consumer product.
Well,
Let's first of all nobody walks into a store
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
and like says, maybe I'll spend $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000 on a graphics card. That doesn't happen. People are seeking out these products because they've decided that that's what they want after looking at all the research and doing the trade-offs. And at this point, especially for the serious gamers, there are some people that are just not going to buy the Red option, right? Because of all the work that Rev does and some of the work that we do with streaming and it's an ecosystem. If you want to be in the green ecosystem, we have a product stack, and it starts with very affordable GPUs and it goes all the way up to people that just want the best part.
You want drivers that just work.
Yeah, you want
GeForce
physics, you want
experience,
GeForce experience.
game
I mean, you get the strategy, right? We're developing a collection of things that work together and deliver a great experience.
We're not selling a chip.
Right.
We're creating an experience, and that's what people are buying when they buy one of our GPUs.
You know, the real challenge we have at NVIDIA is to help reviewers understand that the market is kind of sort of setting the prices of things, right? And what we can do is enhance our products so that the market wants it more and is willing to pay a higher price. Now, how do you review that? It doesn't really fit perf per dollar, right? Perf per dollar is meant to equalize across products that are the same. And our whole job is to make our experience so much better. You know, we're not going to say, oh, it's price perf equal, so we're done. We're not doing that. You know, we're looking at things like what's the frame delivery rate, and does it deliver the best experience you can? And you know, for a long time we had just an amazingly good experience on multi-GPU, far better than our competitor. But reviewers had a hard time to understand how to review that. So we had to go out and help people learn about it. And the same thing is happening in other dimensions of gaming. And what's happening is over time, the perf per dollar comparison is really not making sense anymore because our perf per dollar doesn't factor all the other stuff.
Right, but there's a heavy perf per dollar consideration at the lower end of the product
Yes, there
stack,
is.
right?
Absolutely.
They have a $300 GPU. You have a $300.
But you know, for the most part, we don't really play in the very low end. I mean, $50
Not in the very low
GPUs,
end, but
whatever.
well, I mean, like to us, a $250 GPU is low end, right?
To
So
Gordon.
that's-
And we do play there. We do play there. And we play there very well.
But I mean, you don't have like, you're not saying, hey, your whatever $250 GPU, we're going to charge $500, but you're getting all this great stuff.
Yeah, no, we don't. But again, yeah, I think the key question is, why do people prefer the green over the red at the same
And it's not just performance.
Yeah.
Wait,
It
were
is
the pills
not.
green and red in Matrix?
But some people don't prefer.
Yeah, and that's why there is red, and that's fine.
Well, I mean, some of the gap is because of one group having more effective marketing, another group
God
having
bless you.
having. Well, I mean, it's not purely just a performance thing.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't.
You know, I think more than performance, though, I scour the forums reading what people write, and that's going to be biased, obviously, towards people that post, which aren't necessarily representative of everyone. But often what you see is people talking about the experience as far as games just running well.
Drivers
And
work.
The drivers work, and I think that is probably
Right.
a
Day
much
of game support,
stronger
Driver.
reason driver behind the decision than almost anything else.
Absolutely.
And I
good-
know for a fact. I mean, I helped build our game testing labs. We have over 1,000 machines that are running 24 hours testing games that are yet to be released, old games, all kinds of games on various drivers and hardware and stuff, 24 hours a day, to make sure that we get a great experience on all of those games. It's a huge investment that we've done that I don't think our competition does. I've never heard of any.
Although we can't comment. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know.
We don't. But I know for a fact that we do that, and it shows. Something like GeForce Experience, which has optimal playable settings that will give you the best possible experience with any of the games that you have installed on your computer, would not be possible without the millions of dollars that we continue to invest in generating that stuff. It looks easy when you just press a button or install a driver and it works. But there's thousands of people behind that are making it happen.
Yeah.
Well, AMD in recent months at least has been doing this thing with their Raptor gaming client. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly what it's
Always
called.
trying to
So-
follow
Hey
up.
now.
they're using-
We're not going to comment on what they're doing.
They are using an optimization system, but it's I think they call it crowdsourced or
Yeah.
community sourced.
It's I don't want to comment on
That's
their.
not necessarily. It's not necessarily worse. It's just
No, it's different. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it turns out to be better, we'll all learn from it, right? But it's a little bit of we hope that the crowdsourcing is good, which is different from we're investing in the infrastructure, right?
I actually originally worked on it and worked on the optimal playable settings algorithm. So we had discussions about crowdsourcing.
And you are passionate.
And I can tell you, although I think there's some value in crowdsourcing, you can't rely on it solely, because the problem is, what we were trying to solve is that most gamers don't know what to set, and if you look at what they do, they're usually wildly varying,
Yeah.
and they're not often optimal. Even if you're an expert game developer, you don't necessarily know just by looking at the 15 settings
Right.
what you have to set it to get the appropriate frame rate.
It
that
is a
you want,
super
right?
complex matrix.
So just looking at what's out there isn't necessarily going to give you the best possible experience. We have algorithms that we've been working on for years that go through searching for optimal algorithms given certain frame rates and given priorities for certain image quality features, that tries to find something that most users will enjoy. And if you have particular preferences, you can go in and tweak off that, but at least you know that when you press this button, you're going to get that frame rate, and it's going to max out as many of the settings as possible on your given configuration.
And the best news is there's somebody to
Crowdsourcing
talk to, right?
It's sort of like garbage in, garbage out. I mean, the whole reason we were doing this is because people's settings out there sucked in general. That they're not. Many people I know just didn't even bother with the settings.
Right,
That made us very sad.
You go right in and
You're
you start
you're
playing.
buying a $500 GPU and you leave it on the defaults, which is usually set to the minimum, because the game developer doesn't want the out-of-the-box experience to be one where
Right.
it's a slideshow, right?
Yep.
So they don't modify it, and 80-90% of gamers just didn't tweak it at all.
Yeah,
so
they-
those are the settings you're going to crowdsource and pull from people and distribute to others. It's not.
I like trolling people
Well,
with settings. So
I guess the argument is if you have a large enough pool of users that at some point you get a reasonable approximation of what the settings should be.
It could.
So
You
we
never
looked
know.
at.
We never know.
I was just talking to somebody about this last night who worked on the later algorithms that we're using for this, and he looked at a specific SKU, took one of our cards and with a very specific CPU and everything, from all the data that we collected about the settings that they had, and found that performance as well as the quality settings were just wildly varying. There was almost no correlation at all between them for that very specific one, and it was like a $300 GPU. I think he was looking at 3-4. So obviously somebody that cares about their settings. It was people who hadn't optimized, that manually set their own settings, and we were sure that it wasn't the defaults in the game too. So
it's a random function today.
It's not like there's an obvious choice between all the possible settings. Just looking at what people are doing, we have engineers and game testers who sit there and play the games and try to guide the settings based on what we think is a quality experience. Because we're making a promise to our gamers that when you press that optimize button, you're going to get a better experience than you would otherwise.
Are you guys targeting like a 40 frames per second, 50 frames? Like what is
It's
it? What's
actually
the goal?
and I think we give an option now, right?
Yeah, we do. You can actually, in the UI, kind of specify your preference in a couple big ways.
Well, it sounds like the next step is a card or a driver that will just do that dynamically.
Absolutely.
That you'll never have to think about settings again.
You can work for Nvidia because you're thinking big, right? You're thinking next. That's what I love about you, man.
You also have his name as well.
And we have the same name.
The problem is like going to a developer and saying, okay, so you need to do that now. You have 6 months.
Yeah. No, I think if you start thinking about games and you think about how they work today, there's a huge opportunity for improvement, right? And we will not rest. We really won't rest until it is just a delightful experience all the time. You can do things dynamically. I mean, my mind starts just going big when we think about since we've invested in it, and we've got a client, and we've got technologists, and we've got experts, we can add value over time.
I think you got Tom really excited, Tom.
You did.
I should fill out an application.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
Oh, geez. All right, next question. Steve Peters asked, due to DDR4 RAM coming out sooner than we think, what does this mean for the bus speed and capability of graphics cards to come?
Well, the way to think about that is Nvidia has, for, decades, been on the forefront of memory technology transitions, and I don't expect that to change over time.
Okay.
That was easy.
Yeah, it's like we're going to be a leader. We're going to continue to be a leader, and it's going to make things faster and smaller.
Okay, cool. The next question is actually about the Shield. Comes from Dan Rilla. He asked, with the Shield tablet and controller coming out in the next couple of weeks, will their handheld be getting an update? And also, why Android over Windows 8?
Ooh, interesting.
Does he mean OTA?
Let's go with both.
So to the first question, Shield Portable is going to continue to get OTAs. That thing has been...
We made a promise to our users.
Absolutely, and it is going to continue to be a primary focus for us, and we're going to continue to update it in big ways. We're going to add features. If you look at the Shield Portable that was shipped a year ago, and you look at the one today, it's the same hardware, but the experience has been dramatically improved with big features like Game Stream added over time and improved, and that's going to continue. Now, your second question is why Android over Win 8. I think he's talking Win 8 Mobile.
RT.
Win RT?
I would think. Right?
Windows tablet.
It is ARM.
Yeah, Windows
not,
tablet. So
x86.
it's just a strategic decision about Android is going to be and is the largest deployed OS for tablets, and there's obvious leverage in Google Play Store, and we're gonna that is the ecosystem that we picked because it's far larger than the Windows tablet.
Well, there's also no licensing fee, so you can make the device cheaper.
Yeah, but that's not the issue. It's what is the ecosystem that's going to support our development and support our customers.
Right.
And if there's a license fee, then that's kind of baked into the ecosystem.
And I think Tom can't answer because they are a Microsoft partner on Windows RT, but we can say probably because Windows RT is an absolute complete failure at this point, and nobody wants it.
Hey, now what do you got?
It's the Surface Pro.
Yeah, there you go. Windows RT. Oh,
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be Windows RT. It can be Windows 8.
Yeah, but no, they're ARM-based, so what are they going to do, right?
Also, this guy's launching with KitKat,
yes.
right? Are you planning on supporting Android L when that comes out on this device?
I expect, yeah, right. I mean, this is like if you look at what's happened with Shield Portable, you'll see it's just moving, right? It is. We have a huge development group that's working on Android. I mean, it's just huge. And
actually, if you look at Nvidia in general, people think of us as a chip company, but we have way less engineers working on chips than we do software.
Yeah.
We're more a software company than we are a chip company.
And if you think about like the embedded model, the deeply embedded model that we had for like wars, we are deeply embedded with all of the major OS providers, and we've known them for decades. And Android is no difference. So when you're a large OS guy and you're talking about graphics, you're going to partner with us, right? So we're willing to make the
Something we know
investment.
very well is systems programming.
Yeah.
I mean,
Enforce, baby.
Oh yeah.
I know
man,
all
those are the
of
days.
those guys, by the way, are now working on Android. All of them, and they're great. I was having lunch with them yesterday. Peace out to the Enforce guys.
Are you guys working with Google pretty closely?
Definitely, it's a great relationship, and it's strategic, right? We're showing them
you
our
saw
next
our
stuff
stuff at Google I/O.
everywhere at Google I/O, right?
Right.
K1 rocks.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Louis Carrion. Any IPS G-Sync monitors coming soon?
Wow, I have had so many requests for an IPS G-Sync, and I cannot comment on that. Because I would be pre-releasing a partner's product
or
or
this
not.
live asking questions?
No, I
Okay.
asked our readers this morning on social
Yeah,
media.
beforehand we go.
So let me
around.
answer the real question is, do we expect IPS to be viable with G-Sync? And the answer is absolutely yes. There's nothing about an IPS panel that makes it inappropriate for G-Sync. So for folks that want IPS, I'm sure that will manifest itself as demand through our partners, folks like ASUS or ViewSonic or, Acer or AOC or Philips or any of those guys. And if they see a market, they'll do a monitor.
So you don't need 120 hertz or 144 for
Well,
G-Sync.
it would be nice to be able to drive past 60 hertz on the higher resolution
It would. It would.
IPS monitors.
Right.
It would be delightful.
Yeah.
And the way I think about it, though, is that G-Sync technology can work with multiple different panel technologies. It's nothing panel technology specific.
It's orthogonal.
Yeah, the original G-Sync monitors are TN because that is the technology that's most available today, and the vendors are trying to hit a quality price point. What you'll find, though, is that the TN panels are actually pretty good compared to what they used to be. And if you look at this new ASUS panel, it's a TN panel, but it looks really, really good. And so I'm not so clear that the market is actually evaluating TN today correctly. But we'll see.
Although, I do have one question about G-Sync is, are future G-Sync panels going to have more than one input? Because that is definitely one limitation of having a single
It is.
DisplayPort
That's a
input
great
for
question, Gordon.
G-Sync.
So again, there's nothing about G-Sync that is single input.
Right.
G-Sync could have multiple inputs. The module that we developed, remember the investment we
Yes.
made,
Yep.
engineers that we put on it, hardware we built, that module has one DP input today. So people that are using that first module in monitors will have one input, and that's going to go on for some time. But here's the best part. If we get to the market and we get feedback from the market that says, oh my God, G-Sync is incredible, then we're going to reinvest in it. We're going to keep working on it. We're going to cost reduce it. We're going to add more features. We're going to add more capabilities, and we're going to roll out new technology. And if we hear from our customers that, I really needed to plug my phone into that with HDMI, even though I know it won't work with G-Sync, maybe we can do that. There's nothing about, by the way, some people have commented that this is a DP only thing. Certainly is today. It doesn't have to be, right? There's nothing about the way we're manipulating DP that is particularly necessary for G-Sync.
Well, it does seem like DisplayPort is going to be the standard going forward.
For computers.
Yeah.
Not for consumer electronics equipment.
Okay.
Right? So here's the other thing that's very important to know. G-Sync monitors are not for everybody. Guess who they're for? Gamers, right? And gamers have DP. So it's kind of like, I hear the request for multiple inputs, and if you're a professional guy and you want to connect up 10 different video cameras, there's different monitors for you. This is not for you. This is for gamers.
Gotcha. Our last reader question comes from Sandro.
Nice.
What do you guys think of VR? This goes back to our panel.
I love VR. I think it's going to be great. It's got some real challenges, though. I mean, let's be honest. VR today, even although Oculus is doing some great things and they're a great partner of ours, I think that VR in the future could be very, very good. The biggest challenge of VR is how do you couple the graphics subsystem to the sensor subsystem and the display. And the people that are best positioned to make that great, who are willing to invest, that's us.
Think wireless.
Think. There's a lot. There is a lot of work to be done on VR,
If you can get a wireless solution, I think that'll really help because there's a lot of cables going back and forth.
You know, there are so many problems with
But
it
then
today.
latency is a huge problem.
Yeah, latency.
And
Think about
wireless.
grid. Think about streaming. Think about game stream. What are we working on? Latency. Right. So
G-Sync.
G-Sync. What are we working on? Displays. Right.
Doing Oculus VR in your coffee shop, a few
Can you
miles away
imagine?
from your house.
Well, I wouldn't. I don't want to talk too much about it, other than to say it's another one of those crazy technologies for gamers that is right in the middle of our wheelhouse. You know, that's the kind of stuff that we get excited about. That it's definitely not there today.
So we're definitely investing in it, if that's the question.
Sure.
We've been investing in it, and we're going to continue to do so and expand it.
Yeah, it could be really cool.
From my conversations with AMD people, they seem kind of on the fence about it still, but it seems like you guys are going.
It's a strategy. You know, we are not a follower.
Yeah, anything new and innovative, even if it's risky, we want to be there. And you know, if it doesn't work out, then it'll be, you know,
We'll learn. We'll learn, right?
And it'll be another one of those things where, like, this is the cost of being an innovative company.
Yeah. Sometimes you go down dead ends and then you go, God, that was not the best decision. Actually, in hindsight, maybe it was a great decision. We learned a lot. This particular product, the market is not loving. So what are we going to do? We're going to take that resource. We're going to go somewhere else, and we're going to find.
And it's
something
rare
else
that in working on a large project like that you don't end up with at least some technologies that we created for that can't be used elsewhere.
I feel like you guys are tapping into 3D vision a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Think about what the basic problem of 3D vision was: to take a single image game that has a single viewport, and then to make it automatically work with 3D vision. That is amazing technology that we invested in. We developed hundreds and thousands, and probably I'm going to say tens of thousands of man years, or maybe man hours. I don't know, man years. Yeah, I don't know. Lots of time. Yeah.
About hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands for sure. But anyway, that is a stereo problem, and so is VR. So if you think about it, we could probably learn a lot from our 3D vision and take that into VR.
Cool. Do you guys have any other questions, or close it out?
What do you think? Do we answer your questions?
Yes, I mean, definitely. You know,
Do you feel better?
It is still.
Well, I mean, we still want to know about the 800 series, but
Yeah.
Yes.
have to wait.
Yeah.
We'd love to tell
Yeah,
you.
whatever it is.
I'll let you keep your job today.
Thank you, Jimmy.
We relish our lives, you know.
I mean, I know the readers, they ask us about it pretty frequently.
Well, I'm not
So,
surprised because they know it's going to be awesome. If it is indeed the next product, right?
Yeah.
It may not be. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Could be toenail clippers, Nvidia toenail clippers.
With G-Sync, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hey, can I make one more plug for G-Sync? It's coming to market right now. So go look at the reviews for G-Sync.
Finally, right?
It's finally. Oh, God,
Yeah,
it's been
send
so
us
hard.
the unit. You know, I've seen it
Yeah,
at different
absolutely.
events.
Check out there's a lot of great ones. I'm really excited about 4K. I'm really excited about 25 by 14, 144
I want to
hertz.
see a 4K 144 hertz G-Sync panel that's IPS, and I want to see it like tomorrow.
Wow.
And 3D
For free.
and
For free.
$100.
God.
I'll be generous. You can make it
you
$100.
pay us
You know, but
$100,
that's
yeah.
Oh,
the-
and we should take all that technology and
share it with Intel and AMD.
I'm with you guys.
open source
yeah.
it and
Open
put-
source it, yes.
upload it to
it's, you know,
Google Drive.
And transfer money to me because I would like some money.
So I just want to say for us, we appreciate the opportunity to come back.
yes.
Thank you, Gordon, and
Yes.
it's great to see you. And nice to meet you, Tom. Smart
This
guy.
has been fun.
Good to see you again. And obviously, if we didn't ask anything, we're happy to come back anytime.
No, I think, you know, it was an allegation made
fun.
by AMD, and you know, what can you
People
say,
say-
right? You're not going to, unless you break out with a contract that,
Yeah.
and you get a developer to sit here and say, here's a
Yeah.
contract,
And
and
they
now it's-
even told us to talk to you. So
Yeah, people do crazy things.
We're just here on their orders, basically.
No. We call us more often.
Well, when you don't
Yes.
have much else to
Yeah.
talk about, this is,
Hey, no, we don't know. We don't know.
I'm gonna have Richard Huddy
He's like
come back.
He's like a wild dog.
I'm gonna have you guys all in the same room and just have you guys fight.
Two
it out
men
in a
into-
bloody-
No.
bloody
That's
battle.
not necessary. There's nothing. I have nothing. I have no personal vendetta against Richard. You know, he's a fine guy, smart guy.
Gotcha.
He should know better.
All right, that about wraps it up then. You can check us out online at MaximumPC.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can email us at MaximumPCPodcast@gmail.com. You can send us a message at a 24-hour No BS podcast hotline at 1-877-404-1337, extension 1337. You can subscribe to us on Google Play, iTunes, Kindle, Nook, and Zinio. On behalf of Gordon Ung, Tom McNamara, I'm Jimmy Thang. Thank you for listening.